I have to admit, it was my favorite part of the night. Nothing to take away from Randy Hauser, he's fantastic, but you started wailing out some Bad Company, and I about fell off my stool. So tell me about the association there.
With Randy?
With Bad Company.
Well, I was asked to sing with them in about '92. It was actually Janice Rowe was their manager at the time, and asked me if I'd be willing to come and audition and all that. But at the time, they already had, as normally is behind the scenes, already someone in mind for that. So, but I had a relationship with Bucket Colwell and David and everybody there, and moving forward in 1998, we actually started. I moved here to Nashville '96 actually, and then we started working together, writing and started tracking and doing a variety of things like that. And I had just a great time just recording. We tracked maybe about 15, 20 songs, and some of my favorite stuff still to this day. So
yeah,
but it was great.
And you've sung lead for several groups, and you've done background vocals for a lot of the country artists that we play on Real Country.
Yeah, John Barry. I've produced some tracks for him, and just a variety of other people too. And I've written with a lot of country artists.
Stan, of course, a Legacy Award-winning songwriter, and that's a very big deal because very few have won that.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that was real special. I was the third one to get it in 75 years. So.
Now, how does that work? How do only 3 guys
I don't
get
know.
that?
I think I worked off of blackmail and guilt. I think that's how. No, I've been with the company CSAC ever since the beginning. You know, either with CSAC, BMI, or ASCAP. And so I went with CSAC real young when they were just mainly gospel in Nashville. They had a couple of rooms, but I started writing for CSAC and ended up with some cuts like George Jones and quite a few cuts through the first, so it stays steady, but CSAC's a good company, and they seem to be a smaller pond than BMI and ASCAP, so you do tend to get more awards or recognized, but they've grown a great deal, and I've been writing. I was actually born in Murfreesboro and raised in Nashville, so
Gotcha.
and there's not many of us really from Nashville.
I was going to say, is there anybody but
There's
you?
not really that much, and everybody was listening to I Want to Hold Your Hand, and I was listening to Merle Haggard,
That's right.
and Johnny
That's right.
Cash, and so I just love country music.
You mentioned George Jones, and you didn't get much more country
that
music
was my
than
first cut in '82 was George Jones. So.
One of these days, but not tonight?
Yes, one of these days, but not tonight.
Your first cut was with George Jones.
Yes,
I mean, that's worth repeating, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I went a long way with the George. I think there's about 380 of us now that said George Jones cuts.
That's probably right. As long as he keeps cranking them out.
It sounds important, but really it's a privilege, but I'm just saying that George has cut so many albums and so many records. It's not like a rhinestone cowboy, that's for sure. Now my other song, I'm from the country, I hope it gets that big.
That'd be a nice rhinestone cowboy for you, wouldn't it?
But I was really lucky with that, though. And the reason I was because, first of all, I didn't know a lot about country music history, except Ray Charles, except Hank Williams, stuff that would bleed into pop markets, And I heard the phrase at a party. I was just walking by clusters of people, and I didn't even know the history of the phrase. So when I wrote the song, I wrote it from my own point of view and made it into something else, and lucked out of that because Glenn Campbell sang it. He was a Southerner, of course, and so I kind of lucked out going into both markets because there really wasn't a country song per se. It was a song about a guy walking the streets of Broadway in New York City,
right?
With a subway token and a dog stuck inside his shoe, and Glenn Campbell did it and turned it into a country song. As a matter of fact, ASCAP gave me an award about 4 or 5 years ago as one of the top 10 most performed country songs of the last century.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right, that's worth the
I'm very
money.
proud of that. Very, very proud of that.
Very, very good.
You have to be, I imagine so.
This thing called life, precious cloth, a fabric